everyone, it's JP and I've got another bracelet tutorial for you using some beads that you should probably have in your stash. So here is the bracelet. It's very simple to make and a lot of fun. So what you're gonna need are some 4mm beads. I'm using fire polish. Here they are. These are from Potomac Beads and the color is lava red, 4mm. So that is the fire polish, but you can use bicones or pearl, something round, whatever you have is fine. So a lot of different things will work for this. You're going to need some 11s. So these are the 11s I'm using. These are Miyuki. These are from Aura Crystals, and they are Miyuki round seed beads. Metallic gold iris is the color. The number is 462. So they're very pretty, and I love getting this sort of mixture of different colors in there. And the last thing you'll need are 8/0 beads. So these are my 8s. You can also use a 3mm bead here, so they're going on the outside, so 3 will fit. But this also is from Aura Crystals. These are 8/0s, matte brown AB. I know it says brown, but they are, they look kind of, they're more blue, but anyway, I always love color names because they never quite match. I'm also using 6-pound Fireline in the smoke color. There's the smoke. There you go. One thing to note, so in the first part of this video, I'm going to show you how to put together the seed beads and the 4mm fire polish. Once we get to part 2, the bracelet will shrink a little bit. So as you're doing the first part, you want to make sure that you actually add extra length so that the bracelet will, so if you have a 6-inch bracelet, I would add maybe 2 more units of the fire polish, and so the bracelet shrinks, you'll still have the right size. Just something to note, this does shrink as we continue making the bracelet. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so to start our bracelet, what you're gonna do is pick up your 4mm. So fire polish in my case, 2 11s, 4mm, 2 11s. Then go ahead and tie a knot. So just a basic square knot, just like that, and that's what your piece should look like at this point. And now what you're going to do is just go through all the beads one more time to reinforce. And so I'm going to start here with the 4mm and then go into my 2 11s and then the other 4mm that I've got. The next 2 11s that are on the opposite side. And let's see, just want to make sure that's my tail thread here. There we go. So again, the 2mm. And back through the 4mm fire polish. So this is where we started. Now what I'm going to do is go ahead and make my clasp loop before we go any further. So I'm going to pick up 5 11s. There's my 5. And just going to go back around the 4mm. And then I'm going to flip the work over just so I can work up. But what I'm going to do is just go back through all the beads one more time. Just give it a quick reinforcement. Through the 4mm. And now I'm going to go through the first 3 in this group of 5. So I want to come out of the middle bead. And now I'm going to go ahead and pick up 4. And just go through my central bead. So this is what I've got so far, and I'm just going to flip the work once again. And what I'm going to do is just go in through the first 11. So just the first one in that group of 4. Now I'm picking up an 11, and what I want to do is go ahead and go through the next 11. So note I'm coming out of one, I picked up one, and I'm going to go through the next one. So there it is, and then I'm going to repeat. So do that again, pick up an 11, and just go into the next 11. And one more time, picking up an 11 and going through the next one. Getting quite a bit of shadows there from my fingers. And there you have it. There's my little diamond, and that is ready for the clasp. So this is for part of the clasp loop. So I usually put a jump ring through this and then add a clasp. So I've got a lobster claw sitting here. So that's what I'm going to add. Now go ahead and reinforce. So just go through the beads again. Usually I do 2 beads at a time when I'm going through the diamond because of the angles. And the next 2 here. Okay, so now I'm just going to go down the 2 11s on the side here. And then I'm going to go through the fire polish. The 2 11s. And then come out of this next fire polish, or 4mm, whatever you're using. You don't necessarily have to use fire polish. And now we're ready to continue adding. So now the pattern just is going to repeat. What you're going to do is pick up 2 11s, a 4mm, and 2 11s. Go back through the same 4mm where your thread is exiting. So just going through that and adding the beads. Now all you got to do is, I'm just turning the work so I can work up, is go through the 2 11s that are right. So the threads, you notice the thread is coming out of this one, so up into the 2 11s. And then into the fire polish. So keep the tension tight. You want these to all just sit as snugly as possible as you work. And then we're just going to repeat. So again, 2 11s, the 4 and the 2 11s. Go back through just the 4mm. And there you go. And once again, like I flip the work just because it's easier to kind of work, especially in camera, because I'm trying to stay in frame. So go through the 2 11s, and I'm giving everything a nice tug as I go through the beads. So, and then through that 4mm. And again, repeat, 2 11s, 4mm, and 2 11s. Back up our 4mm here. So, and then through the 2 11s and into our 4mm. So what you're gonna do is just continue until you get to the length of the bracelet you need. So I've done 5 of these fire polish, and so we're at about 1 inch. That it's including the clasp loop, so just to give you an idea of how many beads you'll need. All right, keep going, and then I will show you the next step. All right, so I have reached the length that I desire for my bracelet, so here it is. And so here's that starting point, and now I'm at the end here. So we're gonna do the exact same thing we did to make our clasp loop, like we did here on the first side. And so what I'm gonna do is go ahead and pick up 5 11s. And there's my 5. And I'm just gonna go back through the fire polish. And reinforce one more time, so just going through all the beads. And now I'm going to come up the first 3 11s, so coming out of that middle 11 in a group of 5, pick up 4 11s, go back through just the middle one, and there it is. There's my 4 that I just added. Go ahead and go through the first 11, just the first one. Then pick up an 11 and go into the next one. This is what you get, and you repeat again. Pick up an 11, go into this next one, and one more time, pick up an 11, go into the next 11 here, and there's our diamond. And then just go through all the beads again to reinforce. So I'm going to go through 2 at a time. All right, those are my last 2. I've gone around. All right, so now what you're gonna do, and I'm just gonna flip it one more time, is coming out of that central bead again, go through these next 2 11s, then pick up an 11 and go through the first 11 here. And this, so there's these group of 2s that we added between the fire polish. You're just going to go into the first one. So you should have that. Excuse me. Now pick up an 11 and you're gonna go through the next 2 11s. And you may not be able to necessarily go through them together. If you can, that's great. If not, go through them one at a time. So what we're doing here is making picots now. This is so now that 11 that we just added is sitting up in between the 2 11s here, creates a little picot, and now we're going to do it again. So pick up an 11, and my thread is coming out of this 11, so I'm just going to go into the next one here. So I'm going to do 1. I'm just going to go through the 1 there. And then go up into this one here in the next set of 2. And I'm in position. That positions me to add another one. So this is what you're going to be doing. You're going to basically just, all you're doing is adding an 11 between these 2 11s. So to create these little points. So you're just going to work your way down until you get to the end. So I'm just going to do this one more time. And so I picked up an 11, go into the 11 here. And again, this is just whatever's easier. So if you can go into the next one, go for it. If not, just do it one at a time. So I'm just going to go into this guy here. So there, made my next picot, and then I'm going to go up into this one to get into position to start again. And that is it. You're going to build the picots all the way down. Once you get to this end, I will show you what to do next, but basically you're going to add an 11 here and then go around, add another 11, and then you'll start making picots again. Keep going. All right, so I have added my little picots all the way down, and so I'm here at the end and I need to start on the other side. So basically, to get yourself set up for the other side, what you're going to do is, so here's the last one that I added. Note the 11 that I'm coming out of. So basically it's that last set, and then this group here is for the clasp. So all I'm going to do is pick up an 11 and go through the next 3 beads or 2 beads, depending on how many I can get through here. That middle bead is going to feel tight to you because you've gone through it multiple passes when we made the clasp loop. So, all right, so there, I went through 1 extra bead that I don't want to go through, so I'm going to back out here in a second. So, and there it is. You're just connecting the picots to this group. I need to back out 1 11. Sometimes it's easier to back out of an 11 instead of trying to avoid it as you're beading. And now I'm going to go through these last 2 here. And I'm going to pick up an 11 and I'm just going to go into this one here. Just the first one, because then I can start my picots. So now we're in place, and all you're going to do is pick up an 11, go into this next 11, and then go into the next one to get set up for the next picot. And repeat, pick up an 11, go into the next one here, or the next 2 if you want. And there you go. So just keep going until you get to the other side. All right, so I have added my 11s to the other side, and I'm here at the end. So for this next part rather, pick up an 11 and go ahead and just go through. So I'm coming out of this last 11 here, and just like we did on the other side, you're just gonna go through some of these beads here, and I'm just gonna go through the 2 and then into the one in the middle. Should be much easier to get through if you just do it one at a time there. Just go through the 1. And then we're back through this next set. So I'm going through these 3. And then I want to come out of the bead at the top of my picot here. So I'm going to go through these next 2 11s if I can. So I got through 1. And make sure I can get my hands on it. And move these over here. So those are my 8s. I'm going to come out of this bead at the top here at the picot. Now I'm going to take my 8. You can also use like a 3mm bead, so if you don't have 8s, and just go into the next picot here. So, and you're just going to pop the 8 in place and continue all the way through. So this time you don't want to pull too tight because you'll cause the beads to buckle. So you just want to add the 8 and continue all the way through. And that's all you're doing, is just going through the beads that are sticking out from the picot. So I'm just going to straighten that one out because I want it to sit straight. And one more time, and this is it. Just go all the way down till you get to the end, and we're just about done with the bracelet. So just go down, and then again, just like before, work your way around to the other side. All you're doing is just follow the thread path to the seed beads until you get to this picot here, and then add your 11s there. And that's it. Okay, everyone, so I've added the 8 O's on both sides, and I went ahead and added my clasp, and there's my bracelet. So I hope you like this tutorial. It's pretty simple. It doesn't require a lot of beads, but hopefully you enjoyed this. Anyway, I will see you in the next one. If you liked it, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe.